as Norshellus approaches the party, he kind of steps up a little bit faster than Resh, just trying to get to the table faster than him. And as he approaches, he has his hands steepled in front of him, and his fingertips are reaching. And he just says, "So before everybody freaks
out, good morning to you two. What happened?
Where's Tove and Taffy?
So Tove is asleep at my brother's house.
What?
What?
Not important right now. Taffy's a spider.
What?
Taffy is a spider.
What?
And at that moment, Resh walks up to the table as well next to Norshellus, and you all will see, sitting on his shoulder, probably easily the size of his entire hand, is a very light brown, reddish colored, furry spider. Sitting there on his shoulder.
Squeaks and spider.
Oh no.
What happened to him?
I said don't freak out.
What?
Wait.
And he'll turn to Resh's shoulder and be, Taffy, you're okay, right? Like do a little dance if you're okay.
you just kind of like, he kind of squats, and he stands up, and he squats, and he stands up. This little spider bob.
Is he? Is this permanent? Or...
Is this permanent?
I really hope it's not permanent.
It shouldn't be. I didn't.
Oh, what did you do?
Please. And he'll just like hold both of his hands up very defensively and say, I just wanted to try out a new spell.
Oh my god.
He let me use polymorph on him!
Well, do you know how to turn him back?
I can't!
And at this moment, Resh will speak up and he'll say, thankfully, the effects of polymorph usually only last about an hour. Usually.
And how long has it been since he's turned into
Look,
a small friend?
I told him that I could make it go faster, but he won't let me squish him.
No! We are not hurting him. I don't care what we're doing right now. Our sole mission is to make sure that Taffy doesn't die right now. He is small and fragile.
He's in a very vulnerable state right now.
Resh takes the lead of the party as he leads you all back out onto the main street. And there stands Norshellus with a spider in his hand about twice as large as Taffy.
Oh.
Yabari goes pale.
Did someone else turn into a spider?
Did someone else turn into a spider?
No, I just wanted to see if they could maybe be friends.
Uh-oh.
Didn't we get the smaller one?
Well, you know, I told you, like, when Drow die, supposedly they become spiders to serve our Dark Mother, and he'll pause and just sort of look at Spider Taffy and be like, what do you think? You know, just in case you never turn back into the backseat, it never hurts to have a plan B.
Just wide spider. Just looking at that, Justin. Looking at this other. I don't know if I can talk to the other spider.
I mean, you can try if you'd like. You can try to say something in spider. The other spider.
Just so you hear squeaking. I don't know what the sound of spider makes, but you hear that.
They squeak now, apparently.
They squeak now.
Yeah. Hey Taffy, I think I read somewhere that spiders dance to communicate.
So Taffy looks.
That's probably what he's doing.
Yeah, glances over at Yabari, then looks back and then starts to wave its arms around does a little jig of please don't eat me.
If you want the extra height, Taffy, you can stand on my horns. I will. I'll tolerate it.
if I'm listening, I'm at the high ground.
More high ground. Get a little extra height.
And as you kind of do this little dance over the other spider, with how Narshellus is holding it, it's just kind of like dangling there in his hands. But it does like raise up its two front legs and like wave back at you. With the question of, why would I eat you?
Oh, good.
Oh no.
Just, I assume I can just understand this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just like, oh, it's good. Ma'am? Are you, ma'am? Miss Spider? Mr. Spider? Listen, this whole spider thing is very new to me.
My name is Zestra. Did you just die?
Taffy freezes like mid-dance. And he looks himself over and is like, oh, I don't think so. I hope not. I hope I didn't die. I think I just got turned into a spider.
Oh.
Like with a spell.
Oh, a polymorph spell.
Yeah. I think that might have been. I didn't really catch it. I was busy turning into a spider.
And she kind of like stares at you for a long moment before she'll like dance at you, doing like a little wiggle. Like Narshellus, you're holding the spider. It's just like wiggling around. Clearly communicating back and forth with Taffy, who's also wiggling on top of Julia's head.
So fascinated.
So fascinating.
Oh, sorry. No, she'll say, oh, if it was a mere polymorph spell, then you should turn back soon enough.
Okay, good. That's what everyone else was saying. I just, I'm not really versed with magic. This is actually kind of cool. I'm kind of getting used to it. I mean, not that I'd want to stay. Not that there's anything wrong being like a spider, right? I just, I have plans. You know how it is. How long have you been a spider?
A while.
Oh, yeah, because like the drow, like when they die, they turn into spiders, like, and so I just want to like, have you been living in Resh's, like, I think this is like house, right? You've been living here, like,
for a while. He allows many of us to come and go as we please.
Okay.
But,
like, where do you go? What does spiders do down here?
We do whatever the Quarval Sharess wishes for us to do. We are all just her servants, after all.
Oh, I see. Do you like clean up the fly problem? Is there like an insect issue down here? Like, and he's like looking around, like trying to. Do you like clean up? Do you just like watch things, like listen to stuff?
No, we usually take care of the weakest drow of society.
Oh, I see. Well,
or occasionally spy on people as well, if she so wants to.
Oh, okay, I see. I gotcha. Okay. It's hey, like doing any like juicy spying recently?
She seems to kind of stop wiggling at that, before just saying, no.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So how does this web thing work? I'm really scared to try.
She seems a little uncertain of how to answer that. You just do it.
I see. Do you like it? Are we all like the same kind of spider, or are you like different types of spider?
no.
Taffy asking stupid question. He's just dancing like his life depended on it.
And just as you're about to ask her another question, Taffy, or say something else to her, you feel your body suddenly, like, you feel very hot.
Uh-oh.
And all of a sudden, your spider legs begin to vanish. And
Uh-oh.
the weird fur on your spider body turns into actual cat fur.
Uh-oh.
And within mere seconds, all of a sudden, Yulia, you find yourself on the ground with a tabaxi on top of you.
Just thud. He's like mid-waving his arms, like, oh.
And by the way, the entire time that this whole conversation is going on, since I feel like this entire spider on my hand just tapping, I just look very uncomfortable. Like trying not to like stand very still, try not to be squeamish, and then suddenly like the weight doesn't even register until it's too late, and then I'm just hitting the ground and you just hear,
sorry. As he like scrambles to like roll off and like pick himself back up as he's like patting himself down, like making sure everything's where it's supposed to be, grabs his tail, looks it over.
I kind of had some questions for Balor too. I mean, maybe if we hide Ari somewhere, you could get us into the manor for half a second. I mean, they'll let me right in, but Taffy has questions.
Resh sighs, and he'll kind of look over his shoulder towards the towering manor, and then back over all at you as his eyes seem to kind of settle upon Ari and Yalkish. And he'll say, fine, but Renarian and Yalkish will have to stay behind.
I understand that. We'll turn toward Ari and just be like, I'm sure you understand this is House Duret.
Yeah, yes, I was sort of assuming as much. But yes, that's fine. Nia and I can wait here for you all to finish and go talk to this wizard. Balor, yes.
And Michelle is kind of turning to look at the big familiar manor. Just pause for a minute. Does he still have Sestra?
Yeah, she's still vibing.
He'll just sort of look at the party for a minute and then look at Resh and say, by the way, I'm keeping your spider.
Resh just gives us... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, it sounds like Taffy made her friends, so I see no problem with this.
And as you all approach this manor, what unravels before you is a shock of metal and blackstone that towers high into the sky, creating a massive tangle of pointed spires and dazzling web-like designs that rival that of Valgard's palace, nearly 10 times over if you are attempting to compare it to scale. Resh will continue to lead you up the steps of the manor and into the manor proper as you walk inside, and everything is sort of bathed in this very, warm purple glow, and pretty much coloring almost everything, yourselves included in this color. And as you all go, you pass by the occasional person kind of making their way, and you notice that pretty much all of them, if they're male, you don't really pass any females. The men kind of pause and look at Resh, and many of them kind of nod or bow their heads in respect, and he might kind of incline his head to a few to acknowledge them as he walks by. You see servants, or perhaps more accurately, slaves of other races kind of quickly rushing by you all, their heads ducked, trying not to make eye contact. Specifically, especially avoiding the gaze of Resh or Narshellus. And Resh will lead you all into kind of a larger, entertaining space. You'll see, kind of standing more towards the center, there's a drow woman standing there who looks up as you all enter. And Resh will bow his head to her as he says, Ilhares, it's been some time.
Narshellus will immediately stop playing with the spider and bow fully at the waist.
Resh kind of glances back towards the rest of the party.
Oh, Toad's bowing.
Right. Yeah, Yavari just copies whatever Narshellus is doing.
Yeah,
whatever.
We're following. We're taking our cues.
Good. So proud of y'all. And the drow woman standing here before you all, she's tall, black-haired and black-skinned, this imposing woman, despite perhaps only standing as tall as Arca. But she has a cruel and conniving look upon her features, which are scarred beyond recognition in a gruesome but artistic pattern of devotional spider webs. Her eyes, which are a pale teal in comparison to Resh's red, peer down at you all from where she stands with a look of intense scrutiny, kind of gazing over all of you. Though her gaze soon focuses on Resh as she steps forward, away from another drow who seems to be following in her shadow, quite literally. This other drow, a female as well, is slightly taller, but somehow frailer than the other drow next to her. She shares the drow's dark skin and hair, but has a pair of golden eyes that do not rise to meet you all. And in comparison to the rich fabrics that the Ilhares wears, as Resh addressed her as, the other is dressed rather modestly, wearing all black that hugs her figure but pulls around her feet. She looks up only when she recognizes that Resh is here and seems to kind of just lock her gaze onto him. But for now, the Ilhares will address you all, particularly Resh, as she says, what sort of group is this that you have brought into my home, Resh? Is it to be sacrifices for Lolth's altar, as she shall not be pleased? And Resh will quickly speak up and say, No, Ilhares, I apologize for any misgivings. These are, and he'll gesture to all of you, traveling companions of Narshellus. I am simply aiding them in making their way out of Mithranve as they found themselves here in the middle of the fate.
And, can Narshellus say something?
Yeah, that's fine.
Kind of picking up on Resh's quiet nature and his searching for words, he will lift himself up a little, like still halfway bent over, and he'll say, and it's gracious of you, Ilhares, to accept me into your home once again, and it is as my brother says, they are traveling companions, as I would never expect you to uphold your noble Lolthite traditions in the gracious and merciful city that you help to control and run, where such things are thusly frowned upon, as I would not want you to think that we would impose the impose the dislike of Lolth's children on your house name.
She looks over at you, Narcellus, and kind of quirks one eyebrow as she turns to you. And to kind of describe her a little better to you all, this woman, not only is she dressed in these very fine silks that have these kind of delicate spiderweb patterns like embroidered into them, but coming out of her shoulders and curving in towards her head are like 3 pairs of spider legs attached to pauldrons that kind of curve up and over her head. And she is giving you all the vibe, for lack of a better word, that this woman is very important. And she'll look over you, Narcellus, and she'll say, "Oh, Narcellus, nice to see you have returned. Bella has been wondering what happened to you, despite me telling him multiple times that you had returned home to your mother."
He'll look confused at that, and he'll say, "As it happens, we were on our way here, as I was hoping to speak to my former teacher, if it would not be too much of a bother to interrupt his studies, Ilharis. It is good to see you again, as I have left Phylacera permanently. I was hoping to return here to see about resuming my studies under your name, perhaps."
"Well, you know, it may benefit you very well to perhaps stay here a while longer this time, Narcellus, especially considering what happened back in Phylacera. You know, between you and Resh, I feel as if I am looking at ghosts."
You don't say. And he just sort of raises his hands a little before, like, tightly folding them behind his back to kind of hold on to something. He's like, "So there is news, then, of the Valsharess."
"Former Valsharess, yes."
Oh.
If I might inquire, take up a moment of your time, why exactly is it former? I believe you, of course. Just I'm unaware of the events as I have since been traveling.
Well, as the story has been told to me, supposedly one Narcellus Nokuvir had returned home with the princess of the Leyrid Kingdom, as well as the son of the Drow Butcher in tow, along with a party that very much matches the looks of your companions here with you.
Oh no.
So, apparently they all escaped, Narcellus included, along with the Housemaster Assassin Resh Nokuvir, and they all vanished into the Undersea, where it was assumed they were dead. And, you know, certainly, perhaps I can continue to spread this version of events if certain people might be willing to not get in my way.
And Narcellus will kind of glance at Resh for a moment, and he'll say, licking his lips to wet them from their dryness, he will say, "As always, Ilharis, my loyalty has been to you and your house since you first took me in."
Okay, I have to ask if... Please roll a deception check if he's not being serious. unless he is, then like.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
Can I blow my anima shard?
Sure.
Good call.
This is important.
Good call.
This is important.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Didn't even
Oh,
need it.
man.
Oh, God.
God,
He is such a good liar.
have that nat 20.
The first nat 20 of the night. Let's go.
And as you say this, she looks at you with kind of a mixture of. Sorry, I have to burp, but it won't come out. She looks at you with like this mixture of curiosity and this oddly almost dangerous look in her eyes, as if she had just been offered, some grand prize, and she just gives a very sweet smile as she says, "It's rather for the best, Nachellus. But if it is Balor you seek, you know where to find him." She kind of gives a dismissive wave of her hand. "You all may go if that's really all you're here for." As her gaze kind of lingers on Resh.
Right. I'll be certain to try to speak with you later regarding my studies and seeing what I might better do for your house, Ilkaris. And he will just sort of motion to everyone to move up the opposite stairwell very quickly with his hands.
God.
And
Man, we're going.
Yeah, we're
Sweating
going.
he'll turn back to Rush for a minute and just sort of look back at Hilarion and then at the drow that's been kind of lingering by her. Does he recognize her at all?
You do, and as you all are kind of making your way over to the stairs, and Resh is kind of holding his position for right now, probably to follow up at the rear, before he has a chance to turn to join you all. The drow standing beside Hilarion finally lifts her gaze to look at Resh, and you all just hear this very soft, "Resh." And looking at her, Narcellus, you recognize her as Ashai, whom you know is the daughter of Hilarion. As she was here when you came to study at the manor. And you know from what you've probably heard in passing while you were staying here is that she is Resh's mate. That he was given to some 50-odd years ago.
Oh.
And you see, like, her golden eyes, she had just this kind of meek and sort of afraid look on her face as she'd been staring at the ground. As she looks at Resh, she almost kind of seems to look a little hopeful. As she says, I'm so happy to see you, Resh. And immediately you see Hilarion look over at her with a glare. And you see now in her hand, you hadn't noticed this before, as she'd been holding her hands down near her sides. You see that she lifts a hand, and in her hand, she holds a whip.
Oh.
Not any whip. The end of this whip splits into about 5 different ends.
Oh, not
that end in the heads of snakes. And the snake heads are alive and hiss as she lifts this thing towards the other drow, her daughter, who immediately takes a step back and lowers her gaze before Hilarion has a chance to use it. And
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And Narcellus, before you can try to say something, Hilarion to Ashai will say, "You disgust me. It is not enough that your very presence shames the Corval Sharessa way from our family's diligence, don't be so stupid as to show your weak-mindedness again. Your wounds are to be licked in private, Ashai. Do not make me remind you. And you hear her mutter something very quietly before she turns and quickly leaves the room.
Narcellus is standing very still. He's seen what she's holding before. And he feels the tension. He feels the awkward. And he looks very slowly at Resh.
And you see Resh is standing very still. It looks like he's probably hardly breathing at this point, as his eyes are kind of locked onto where Ashai had vanished off to. And Hilarion will kind of look towards you and Resh and gives just this very sickly sweet smile as she'll lower her hands to her sides again, the snake's relaxing again on the whip, as she'll say, "Run along and see your little mentor."
Of course, Ilharis. And Narcellus will be the first one to move, and in doing so, he moves attempting to hide it. I don't know if I'll need to roll for this. That he reaches out and kind of grasps Resh behind his elbow to kind of try and pull him toward the staircase.
And as soon as kind of your fingers brush Resh's elbow, like as you go to grab for him, he will turn very sharply and follow along behind you, walking very stiffly.
And he'll just, like, knock on the door, and he'll just be... and you'll hear his voice shoots up. He just says, Master Balor, it's Narcellus.
And almost immediately as you say that, the door swings open again with a loud screech. And this drow comes and stands in the doorway. From what you all can see, as he kind of leans a little outward to look at Narcellus, he's a middle-aged looking drow. When pretty much every other drow or elf you've always met always appears to be in like their 30s at best. But this man has very clear wrinkles in his face, around his eyes, and kind of in his chin area. I don't know what the hell he looks like. God, hold on. What does this man look like?
Like a man.
Like a man.
A featherless biped, if you will.
But he looks like a fairly normal drow with black skin and red eyes that are currently narrowed and squinted as if perhaps he's trying to see straight. And his hair is the standard white color you'd expect for drow, though all of it is completely shaved from his head, save for what he has kept back in a very long ponytail that nearly reaches his waist. And as he sees you, Narcellus, he will suddenly exclaim with, "Oh, Narcellus, it's been so long. Where have you been? We must get back to your studies at once." And he'll immediately grab your wrist, Narcellus, and like drag you into the room.
Wait.
You
We must go over.
snickering her head off.
And he just
We must-
reaches out and grabs the wall, and you hear, like, his nails scraping stone. It's like, no, wait, please, I've already learned prestidigitation! Please, I don't want to learn it again!
Well, of course you haven't, Narcellus. Why, we haven't even begun. As Narcellus gets pulled into the room by this middle-aged drow. The rest of you kind of eventually file your way in. And you're greeted with a rather large space. It's a very, circular room that's up in this very tall tower that you all have had to ascend countless flights of stairs to get to. And every single wall of this room, even covering up most of the windows, are bookshelves and rows of books and scrolls, and it's a mess. There are books on the floor. There are scrolls, half-written papers, there's open journals strewn about on both the bookshelves, the floor, the multiple tables that are kind of set up in the room. There's all manners of, crystals on one table to this side, and this table over here has all manner of, writing utensils and inks and paper, and over near the far wall, the middle-aged drow has dragged Norshellus over to what appears to be a small desk. And he has a book already in his hand, a very thick book, with 4 C's thick book. And he drops it down on the desk in front of Norshellus, and he'll say, "Well, Norshellus, you have come by at a very good time, as I think it is time that we finally get on to teaching you prestidigitation."
Please, and he's holding his head in his hands as he's forced to sit at this desk. Please, I can already cast it, I can prove it. I know how to cast prestidigitation. Balor, please! Master, Balor, please!
It's alright, Just he'll reach over and just pat you on the shoulder. Really, I'm sure you'll get to casting it in no time at all.
Please, I don't know how to cast prestidigitation.
Yeah, as interesting as that is, can you tell me about these crystals?
Oh, well, you see, amulets are crystallizations of anima. It's what happens when there is an overabundance of it in one spot that has accumulated for years, if not centuries. They're usually confused with the far less potent anima shards that you usually might find on the surface. Those anima shards like to attune to the elements that they pop up near, but amulets are powered directly by divine energy.
Did you were listing off the colors earlier? Do you happen to know which one is the one for Neferu?
He consults his little journal again. Here we are. Neferu is silver, apparently.
Oh, so the same as okay. And as he says that, he kind of he's sort of fiddling with the clasp on his cloak. He immediately looks around for a silver one on the table.
There's not one to be seen. The only ones on the table are pink, yellow, and one purple.
Okay. So he seems a little defeated. And then he turns around do you happen to have a copy of that book?
Of course not. These are my personal notes.
Oh, I mean, such someone as established as you, I figured you might have published a book on it or something along those lines. My apologies.
There might be one floating around out there. I don't really remember.
Oh, I see. I just, I've heard so much about you. I wanted to, get like a first edition.
Oh, well, it's
I don't suppose you'd be willing to make a copy for me, if you have time, of course.
Perhaps I can have my little assistant, Valerie, and from another room, and I see your chat bubble, Marcellus. I'll
I
get to
can
you
wait.
in a moment.
No worries.
I got you. And you see from another room, this small kobold comes like scampering in. She's has like very dark blue scales, and she's wearing rather simple clothing as she kind of shifts her weight from foot to foot and says, yes, Mr. Balor. Why don't you be a dear and take this book? And he'll hold it over to her. Make a copy for the nice tabaxi here. I'm sure it should only take you a couple of months. There's a lot in there.
He kind of slides on over to the kobold and he's like, listen, you can always just mail it to me if you need to. Name's Taffy.
She looks up to you and is like, do you just want my job? I want to get the heck out of here.
Oh. I have made it worse. He's looking a little...
I will give you this book right now if you agree to take my job.
I can't quite do that.
She like gives this weird whine before she just like turns and goes to skulk back into the other room.
Tail sort of flitting around. He figures he's caused enough damage. He's gonna be quiet now. It's like,
Nershellus, what did you have on your mind?
So, first thing, he's going to look at the kobold and say audibly, "Gave my job to a lizard." That's what I was supposed to be by this point. You're just trying to reteach me prestidigitation. Gave my job to a lizard. He'll shake himself out of it. He clears his throat and he's like, oh, okay, Balor, holds up his hands. He's like, okay, like, no, that's best. He's like, on our way here, we happened, Taffy and I, and he'll gesture at the tabaxi. He'll say, we happened to come across an interesting machine. And I was wondering if you could explain to me the purpose of a machine like this being in the lower dark.
As you speak up, Nershellus, Balor's eyes like narrow as he looks from you to the desk, back to you, back to the desk,
He'll
back to
slowly
you.
walk over it.
But no. He doesn't say anything. And as you speak up and mention this machine, he's instantly kind of curious as he kind of leans towards you slightly. He says, What kind of machine did you find in the lower dark?
oh, it's really cool.
Well, okay, so from what I could tell, it was still running when we got there. This thing looks old as you. But it was covered in these glowing runes. I mean, Rush saw it too, but we couldn't figure out what language that it was in, and I couldn't tell what element of anima was going into it, but it was spitting out a different element.
I see your chat bubbles. I shall get to you guys here when I can.
They're popping
Oh,
up.
you're good.
And Balor scratches at his chin as he kind of thinks over what you've said, Nershellus. And he'll say, I've never heard of such a thing in the Underdark, or in the Lower Dark. Sounds like it might be something that would have come out of our kit. Are you sure your eyes just aren't messing with you if it was in a language you couldn't read?
I'm not imagining things.
I didn't say you were.
Could it be alchemical in nature? Taking one element and changing it into another in a different kind of form?
Taffy and I thought it was a giant air cooler, to be fair.
That's what it makes sense. Like, you saw how close we were to, like, you know, that lava. What else could it have been?
Maybe a vent of some sort?
What was it doing?
Now I'm not, like, magically inclined. Narshellis, it was like absorbing ambient anima, right? And changing it somehow.
Yeah, kind of. From what I could tell, it was just... I don't really know how to explain it. The anima that was coming out of it felt younger than the rest of it that was around us, if that makes sense. I know anima doesn't really have an age, but it felt newer and fresher.
Valor just kind of looks more and more confused as you all go, and he'll say, certainly never heard of anything like that. Perhaps one of these days, you have to show me where it is so I can get a better look at it.
I don't think you'd want to go down there.
Was there anything else you kind of wanted to bring up, Narshellis?
Nope, he's just gonna kind of try to wander around toward the bookshelves.
Yeah, you're definitely able to. Valar kind of leaves you be for the moment. And then, Yuvari, I know you had put up your bubble next.
Speaking of our findings, a group of us found a statue of some sorts while Taffy and Narshellis were trying to figure out the air cooler vent thingy that was happening on the other side of the cavern. And we discovered this writing, but I'm not sure what it means or who it was meant for. Could you remind me what the writing said? I thought I put it in my notes and I...
Yeah, maybe.
I have it if you need it.
Oh, I have it. I just found it. I'm sorry, but thank you. So the writing had said, as a reminder to the people of Imyon Thalore. Put that in chat again for you if you want to copy it.
Thank you. The
I believe
writing
it also had
said as a...
the name on it as well.
Oh, what name was that? I didn't have that.
Genesis.
Oh. Okay, so I think what more like on the edge. Yeah, and that.
So the writing said, as a reminder to the people of Imyon Thalore, did I say that right? Imyon Thalore, Genesis, Thalore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, there's supposed to be like a little accent over the E. I just can't. I don't know how to do it on my keyboard.
Oh, you're all good. Would you happen to know what that means, or if they are people that came before or lived in the Lower Dark? Or anything ringing a bell for Genesis?
And at this, he kind of stares at you for a very long moment. Kind of, perhaps partly thinking over what you had asked, and also partly wondering if you were insane. He's kind of like tilting his head one way, tilting it the other, as he seems to really be trying to kind of recollect his memory, kind of just see if he knows what it is you're talking about. And eventually he'll say, I have heard reports of these odd ruins that have been found all across the Lower Dark. Certainly predates anything the Drow have built, and we've been around for many thousands of years already.
Don't try to win that argument.
But, very little is known about it, other than we're aware there was some other sort of civilization before us. As for what they were doing, or why, we have no idea.
So there are no historical records except the ruins.
Unfortunately.
No writings, nothing?
No, from what I understand, most of the writing in the language that's left down there is not decipherable by most means. Any writing we have found that we were able to comprehend was usually a mess, as half of it was worn off.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
Well, you're okay. Well, then while you think, Arca, was there something you wanted to bring up? Or ask about?
Yes. I turned to this middle-aged drow and ask him, do you know of anything that may, say, cause a god to become unusually agitated or withdrawn or anything of the like?
Ooh, that's a good question. I totally forgot about the whole Garuda thing.
Yeah. It's on his mind, so.
Aw. So I just want to. So you're asking if he knows anything about why a god would act that way?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I had heard you correctly. And at that question, he tilts his head to one side and says, well, as far as the Qua Valsharess goes, whether she likes or dislikes you sort of changes on a whim, according to whatever she's feeling that particular day. I know often she's pleased with sacrifices and prayer and worship and bloodshed in her name. And she's often displeased for those who go against her wishes, don't listen to her, or try to bring Drow back from the dead.
People
really?
Bring Drow back from the dead? Sorry, I interrupted you there.
It's nothing. It's just an old sort of unspoken law that you shouldn't try to raise Drow from the dead, as when we die, we become spiders to serve the Qua Valsharess in eternal afterlife.
Oh. And so bringing one... How would one try to bring one back from the dead, then? Like, polymorph them back into a Drow?
And he suddenly looks very curious, like, I'd never thought about that, actually. That's quite fascinating.
Please don't give him ideas.
He just flips around and his tits.
I didn't know.
He's suddenly looking at the spider on Norshell's shoulder.
Zestra, like, that's only like a third level slot. It's fine.
Norshell's like raises his hand up to like block Zestra from view.
But no. Usually it's more through necromancy. By returning their soul to their drow body, you then leave the spider one without a soul. it's unclear what would happen in this case, but you are taking something from Lolth, and she gets very angry when you take things from her that belong to her.
I see. So essentially, wronging a god somehow could perhaps cause that.
And he then kind of blinks, and his gaze kind of seems to shift from you guys to something far beyond him for a moment. And he then looks over at Narshellus and suddenly says, Narshellus, you should be studying your prestidigitation.
What? What?
No, get, come on, let's go, let's get you sat back down. You know, it has been so long since I've seen you. Where have you been?
Are you okay, dude?
he's gone over and is trying to like herd Narshellus back over to the desk. And as you speak up, Arca, he looks back at you and he looks confused as he says, "Oh, who are all your friends?"
Oh.
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 Hi, I'm Taffy.
And I will say, Narshellus just raises his hands and he just says, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. And he's going to raise a hand to Valar and he's going to cast Polymorph.
Oh no!
Look what I learned.
Wait.
What saving throw does he need to make? I think it is a saving throw. A wisdom
it's
save.
wisdom,
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Going to be attempting to cast Polymorph to turn him into a frog.
Oh no! Hold on, I have to. Oh, pull this up. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Probably. Okay.
He's a level 20 wizard, so I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Will the
It's-
student surpass the master?
He's either got a lot of it or a lot of wisdom. He might have both. He probably has both.
Probably has 20 points invested. 80 points.
Oh, gee, yeah.
Oh. That'll do it.
Oh,
He wills
And then
himself to
herself
not.
they're in jail.
so what?
It's like, that's not how you do it. It's like this.
God, Taffy. So Narshellus, as you lift your hand and you channel your anima into this spell to attempt to cast Polymorph on him, you stand there for a moment and nothing happens. And Valar is kind of looking at you and suddenly says, "Oh, are you trying to cast Polymorph?"
Oh,
No. Look, you do it like this.
Yes.
And he'll lift his hand to... hold on. Let's see. He lifts his hand to Taffy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, no.
I fail my save.
He turns you into a spider.
And I'm back.
Now, question: does he just like poop and there's just a spider dangling in the air, or is he already on the ground?
No, like his his body like shrinks and shrinks, and like all of his gear and that like melds into him basically, and then yeah, he's just a spider on the ground.
You hear, oh no, not again.
I just gotta go, oh, by the father, not again. And I lean down and like immediately hands outstretched to Spider Taffy 2.0. I was like, okay, come on, you
Just
come on my head again.
Angry squeaking as I just, because like once again he's like stumbling around like he wasn't ready. He has to get used to it, so he just stumbles up to your hand, and you just angry spider noises.
At least you can chat with Zestra again.
True.
Oh man.
I'm keeping you in my hands though because I do not want a second concussion. If that's okay.
You see him flailing his little spider legs around.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Just staring at Spider Taffy, dumbfounded, with his jaw open, while he's pointing. He just looks at Balor like incredulously, and he just goes, "Okay, that's it." And he raises his hands up, and I want him to cast Prestidigitation. Because I want him to just... he's going to cast 3 at once. And it's going to be a shower of sparks all up in this man's face. Like, there's a light rave going on around him.
Oh my
God. Everything is suddenly like there's just water everywhere in this space.
Oh.
And he just stares at Bauer. He's like, "See, Prestidigitation. See, I cast it. Is this good enough for you, man?"
Oh my god.
Balor, looking rather proud of himself as he's polymorphed Taffy, and before he can even say anything, Narcellus, you cast Prestidigitation in his face, making this shower of sparks, and what else? Like the room is like full of water. Or seems to be full of water.
The ground is like covered in water in this 10-foot space, and also the lights are just like going full rave on and off.
Yeah. So you start doing all of this, and everyone can see this. That's happening.
He's just losing his fucking I'm sorry.
Balor like blinks and widens his eyes, and he says, "Oh, Narcellus, you've done it! No, it's only taken you 5 years."
He's turning physically just this dark plum color. You see the veins in his head just about to burst, and he just looks at Resh, and like his purple eyes are starting to turn like this pinkish color, and he just lifts his hands up like he's gonna wrap them around this man's neck.
And Resh will quickly step forward and puts a hand on Narcellus's shoulder very, very firmly, as he kind of like forces him to stay where he is. And he'll say to Balor, "Thank you, Master Balor, for everything you have taught Narcellus. I think that we have somewhere else we have to be."
I'm sorry, this is metaphorically raising my hand.
Yeah, what's up?
Yavari, after seeing that whole interaction between Balor and then him just suddenly drifting off into space, she can't help but wonder if it's just his old age, or if there's something else a little more, maybe not sinister, but maybe a spell or some type of thing that makes him forget when he's talking about a certain subject.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Just a note. I don't know what I can do with that information. Just
make an insight check for me.
boy.
You know what? We're gonna use our anima shard for this. Come on.
Alright.
I don't know.
For the funsies.
Mhm.
Yeah, for the
Do it.
Please
For the
don't
funsies.
disappoint me.
Hey!
Oh, good thing you did.
Yay!
Yes.
Dirty 20. Alright. So kind of watching the way Ballard just kind of drifts off for a brief moment before it seems like he's completely forgotten that you're all there. Or that you were all there. You try to kind of study him at the moment, and you're not really picking up on anything that might be kind of magically influencing him. And you kind of just take a cursory glance around the room, wondering if maybe anything in here might be causing this weird memory loss. And between that and how he apparently thinks Narshella still doesn't know how to cast Prestidigitation, and you can't help but notice. Actually, hold on. I need to ask Bela a quick question.
My first instinct is to look for the spiders in the room.
The answer to that question is yes, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, other than Taffy and Zestra, there are like a number of them, crawling over some of the books, and there's one that seems to have crawled up from the underside of the table, holding the crystals on it. That's kind of peering at you guys from the edge of the table. They're all rather small, probably only the size of your palm, the largest in this room. Also, Bela, please check your Discord.
But I said the answer to that question is yes.
Oh, I did not hear you say that. I'm sorry. Okay. And so, Yavari, as you're looking around the room, seeing the spiders, you also see that there's a number of plants hanging all around the space, which is kind of odd, considering there's no sunlight down here, but with the odd colors and shapes that they are, you can safely assume that they're likely made for growing here in the Underdark. And one of them is this green sort of moss that's growing out of one of these of a pot that's sitting in a windowsill. And you can't help but to think it looks very similar to a plant you had seen back in Eastoft.
Oh
Oh.
When you had
immediately turned to Nurse Shellis and I nudge him with my elbow and point at the moss.
He doesn't he's nudged, but he's still in I wanna murder this man mode. Like Resh is standing between him and his first kill.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That's okay.
Go on, touch
Not
it.
good.
This is not good.
I'm not gonna touch it.
You're not-
Actually,
just touch it. It's fine.
where's Poe's bag of holding?
It is. It's on her belt.
Mhm.
Is it safe to put the moss in the bag of holding? Side note.
You have to touch the moss to put it in the bag of holding.
Also, then you
Also,
get all the
yeah.
stuff
Oh.
inside.
Yeah, it would get all over everything.
Oh, damn.
Could burn it.
Smoke
Mhm.
fumes. Love that.
Yeah.
I'm not about to set fire in the middle of this castle with a very scary lady, and it just doesn't seem safe. And I promised I was going to be on my best behavior. But
Wow.
I do notice the moss and immediately freak out about it, but I just is that the only thing that's causing the the kind of memory loss that's happening here?
Yes.
Who put up these plans? They're lovely. Do you study them?
Yes, from time to time. I wouldn't recommend touching that one. That is Obliviax. It will steal your memories if you touch it.
Turn and look at this plant, and he just sort of stares at it dumbfoundedly, and then looks at you.
Sorry, go ahead.
And
have you? Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Have you touched the Obliviax?
No. Of course. I know what it does.
This bitch doesn't want to remember shit.
Very visceral. Oh my god. You can hear it coming from Yavari. That's an exact moment when he's saying that.
And he like walks a little close to Yavari and he leans in like he's about to tell you a secret and he says, the reason, and he even like lowers his voice to this very like theatrical kind of whisper.
Oh my goodness.
The only reason I'm still alive is because Loth has no interest in me serving her as a spider. And that's because I have nothing good worth eating. And it's because of this, as he gestures to the Obliviax.
Clever.
I have no worthy memories. She doesn't want me dead.
The Obliviax copium.
Narcellus just sort of speaks up after him and he's like, oh yeah, you're like 1,500 years old, aren't you?
1,531 to be exact.
Man, Rush, we have got to get you out of the Underdark, man.
So it's a safety measure for you?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And he'll look back at Narcellus. Narcellus!
Oh, no, not again.
Rush, I'm gonna kill him! And he just like lunges for Balor with his little clawed fingers. Oh my god.
No, Narcellus, you cast prestidigitation!
Yes, I did. I've been casting it for 5 fucking years. And you know what else I can cast? I can cast Fireball. I can cast it right now in this room. Right now. And he like raises his hand up into the air and points his finger down at the ground. He's like, I can cast it right now.
Narcellus, please.
Squeaks
Rush
and
grabs. Rush grabs your wrist.
Really want to... I don't think pissing off the inhabitants of this castle will do us any good.
Just please,
do you want to deal with the spirit?
Just can we cast it one time? Just one little fireball. Just one little fireball.
You can cast a fireball when we're out of the Underdark, okay? You get one.
Don't do it.
He's like trying to pull his wrist back from Resh and eventually gives up and just like hangs there in his grip.
And Resh will say to Balor, yes, and Narcellus shall be continuing his studies back in Philisera. As he then lets Narcellus go and kind of like nudges him for the door. And Balor says, oh, well, that's a shame. But very well. I mean, you're more than welcome at any time. And Resh, you really should go see Ashai. I think she's been rather missing you lately. I shall keep that in mind. As he gestures everyone to the door.
You have 3 chat bubbles.
Oh God, do I? Yavari, did you? Oh, you're fine. Did you still want to say something or do something, Yavari?
Oh, Yavari was gonna ask about the ruins, but I feel like it's a little too late in the conversation at this point after
I mean,
And he has Obliviax afflicting you.
I mean, you're still welcome to ask.
Another thing about the ruins before we leave, there were a couple of statues of this kind of androgynous god person thing, with a sun disk. Would you happen to know anything about that? Does that ring a bell for you?
Not at all.
Okay, awesome.
Well, what sort of sun disk do you mean?
Well, not a sun disk per se, but the statue was more like a androgynous winged creature with a sun on it, and I was wondering if that would happen to be any god that we would recognize now.
The only god I know of that's described with wings would be Hrist. But as far as I knew, the sun symbol was usually used for Sophis. And it's, from what I understand, it's apparently plastered all over Idfu.
You're right. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you for indulging me and my curiosity.
Of course. And, I'll be happy to take on another student. And you hear from the other room, you hear the little kobold shouting, "Just keep telling him no, unless you want my job. I will gladly give you my job, please. I don't want to have to copy this entire book for the next 2 months."
I believe in you, kid.
I can't help. I'm a spider.
Thank you for the generous offer, but I already have a mentor. Thank you.
Very well. Okay, then Argo, was there anything else you wanted to say, do, ask?
Yes. One, I guess, personal question. Have you ever heard of people, spontaneously developing uncontrollable magic?
Oh.
Norshellus immediately just turns around. He's like, "Arca, we should go."
Wait. What sort of magic?
Arca, we should go.
Ark is like, I'm like looking between like Norshellus and, oh shit, what's his name again?
Balor.
Balor. I'm just like looking between Norshellus, Balor, and curiosity wins out. And well, it's oh, I'm hearing my own voice on someone else's thing, and it's like distracting me. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It varies. Sometimes vine, sometimes teleporting weapons. It's you never know what's gonna happen. That kind of uncontrollable.
Hey, shit. I've never heard of uncontrollable magic like that, but young Norshellus here, as he reaches over and like pats Norshellus on the shoulder. Norshellus was sent to me to train because he had suddenly developed magical abilities. Certainly, it's never been anything out of his control, as far as I'm aware.
Norshellus just sort of looks at Arca with this "I wanted to leave" face.
Arca, like, bows his head apologetically. He had to know. Well, okay. Just wanted to ask that.
Very well.
Mhm.
And then, Yulia, since you got your
Yes.
chat bubble up.
Yeah. The only question I have is I approach Balor, Taffy in hand, and I just hold out the spiders and I was like, before we go, is there any possible way, good sir, that you could turn my friend back to his original form?
No, I'm stuck like this forever now.
Oh, sure. Put him down on the table over there.
Uh-oh.
As he, like, points over to the little desk Narcellus was at and, like, picks up the book. So it's
Oh, no.
a clear table.
Oh, I thought he was going to pick up the book and slam it out.
I walk over and place I just lower my hands as to make a ramp of my hands onto the table for Taffy.
Do you go onto the table,
Oh.
Taffy?
I will walk onto the table. Scared.
So you get on the table, and hold on.
Oh boy.
This poor dumb cat.
This poor dumb cat.
It's a spider cat now.
Spider cat.
Spider cat
Okay.
Listen,
Oh,
every.
does whatever a spider cat does.
Oh no.
Oh, the chat bubble's dead apparently.
The chat bubble died.
I don't know how to
Arca
do
died.
that.
If you just select it and then hit delete on your keyboard, it'll get rid of it.
Oh.
There
Thank
you go.
Simply expired.
And you're just sitting there, Taffy, kind of looking up at Balor. Balor holds the book,
No. Mm-mm. No.
No.
and then he lifts it and slams it down on top of you.
Very panicky, running around.
Come back here!
Is it possible for me to kind of like try and lunge forward as I see him raising the book?
Uh-oh.
All of Arca's feathers go on it.
So Balor's first hit misses as Taffy dodges out of the way, and he lifts the book again, slams it down on top of Taffy
Boom. You said a
As the
sickening
spider-
crunch.
as the spider gets smushed. And then all of a sudden, Balor is pushed back as Taffy suddenly reappears from the spot of the spider.
just like bent over the table, like half of him is on the table, like his head's just dropped off the other half onto the floor. just not moving.
I am just now clutching my chest, like I'm trying to keep it from like jumping out of my body. It's like, oh, thank the Father. And I just kind of just let out a breath of like, Jesus.
Magic guy.
Just
You good, Taffy? You've had a day. I say as I pat his shoulder.
he lets out this kind of like distressed squeak that almost sounds like a meow. He's like, I have experienced what it's like to be crushed by a book. That's not something I ever thought I would ever experience. And I don't want to
Did it
experience
hurt?
it. Yes!
I just wanted to make sure. Now you got me curious.
I thought I died!
Did
To be
you
honest,
see
I
the
thought you
light?
died.
Oh, I saw something look like a book right to my face.
Jesus Christ.
Do you know how many eyes a spider
Y'all love
has?
this campaign.
Do you know how many books I saw coming at me? Why would you let him do that?
I thought he was going to just snap his fingers or something and you'll just suddenly appear. I didn't know he was going to just slam a bug on top of you. I am sorry.
Guys, not to break up this happy reunion, but maybe we should get out before he returns Taffy into a spider.
That's an idea. Bam!
We all just run for the door.
Like, Taffy's trying to, like, scramble off the table, fails, like, just falls onto the floor, tries to pick himself up, and just stumbles for the door.
Kimura uses expeditious retreat straight out the door.
It's like, well, we're gone.
The minute that they are outside of that door and Narcellus closes it, he just looks at everybody, silent for a minute, and just goes, I don't ever want to hear any of you ask me what's wrong with me ever again.
He willingly touches Obliviax. I get it now.
Then he'll just start making his way back down the stairs into the main foyer. If everyone will follow him.
Oh, yeah, he'll...
Yeah.
Unless you want to stay and play with the crazy guy.
Absolutely. Or expending an action to take a full dash down the stairs.
Can I almost want to use a spell even though it counts as a bonus action.
What spell?
Oh, hold on, I'll link it.
I mean, when you're not in combat, like, action or bonus action doesn't really matter.
Oh.
No.
Hold on. If I can remember how to do things.
Okay. I mean, if you wanna, it helps you move faster.
Whoosh.
Alright, so I just give a short whistle and everyone can see on Yulia's heels these kind of ribbons just appears on their ankles and suddenly they're moving very fastly, almost taking it down like 3 steps at a time downstairs.
Just whoosh. Why didn't you use this when we were going up the stairs?
I forgot I had it!
Oh.
Oh, no. Eventually, you all make your way all the way down the stairs again. It's thankfully not nearly as exhausting as going up some 12.5 flights of stairs, if not more. But eventually, you make your way back down to the very ground floor. And as you all do, Resh will speak up and say, I think it is best we just leave.
You just hear Taffy like lean backwards, and you just hear this cracking as he like snaps his back into place.
Oh my god! Do you need a healing elixir or something? Like,
No,
That's probably
I can.
the best.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, this was not one of my better requests. Oh. Man. Spider twice in one day.
Poor Taffy.
As so you all say this, and it seems there's pretty much agreement throughout the whole party to just leave.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
We
And yeah,
got our
so
lore.
yeah, right. So Resh will start leading you all towards the same way you would come in, back towards the main entrance. And just with the path you've gone through, you have to pass through the large room you'd been in before, where you had spoken with Hilarion and Ashai. And as you step into the room, it thankfully seems that Hilarion is gone. But Ashai is still here, sitting at one of the sofas, and you see she's accompanied now by a small child, a small drow child.
A baby.
The baby.
It is a very young girl, probably much younger than Narcellus by her physical appearance. And as you all enter into the room, Ashai and the young drow look up, and you see the young girl looks very similar to Ashai with black skin, but she has this very deep crimson hair that very much resembles the hair tone of Resh and Narcellus both. And she's kind of peering over at you all with these curious red eyes. And Ashai stands up as you all enter, and her gaze is mostly focused on Resh, whom seems a little, perhaps, tense or anxious as he approaches. And as he does so, she'll say, "Oh, did everything go alright with Bala?" And Resh will just hesitate to respond as he says, Balar is still Balar. Right. And she'll kind of look over all of you and then ask, "Oh, are you all leaving already?"
So Narcellus will look from Ashai to this little drow child, and yet, yes, she's addressing everyone, mainly Resh, but he's going to sort of close the gap between himself and this tiny girl.
She's probably half your height. Probably looks about half your age as well, but for elves, she's probably much older than you are. Yeah, and she looks up at you.
They age about the same.
Oh, fair.
They just have weird... And anyway.
Yeah.
And he looks down at this child. And he's still for a minute, just looking at her. And from the back, which I'm assuming everyone's looking at him from the back, he just pauses. And he tenses up. And glancing at the two parents, and then glancing at her, his demeanor slips, and he half jumps at her.
Does he actually jump at her, or
leans forward very, very quickly. In that sort of manner.
Oh god.
As you do so, she jumps suddenly, and then bares her teeth at you as she hisses.
He will bare his teeth and hiss back and jump at her again.
Is that normal? What's happening over there?
At that point... Oh, go ahead, Anna. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say,
No.
I think they're playing.
At that point, she will jump at you, or she'll lunge at you and try to bite your arm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say that she bites his arm, and you just hear this God! Just lifts her up off of the ground and tries to sling her off.
You know, that does look like playing. There seems to be an understanding that affection equals violence.
Oh, you little freak! I'm gonna eat you back!
She quickly lets go as you shake her off. And she says, "Yo, you have to catch me first!" And then takes off.
And he will just chase her.
And there he goes.
Y'all go running out the other doors.
Do we go out? I don't know how to get out of here.
Thresh just Resh and Ashai both were kind of watching the two, and then watch them run off. And then Resh will kind of look back towards Taffy, and he'll say, "It's fine. This is very standard behavior for drow children."
Oh, okay. It's as long as he'll be fine, right?
He'll be bitten quite a few times, I'm sure, but he'll be fine.
Oh yeah,
Probably a
that's
couple
fine.
bruises,
It'll be
probably a
fine.
knife wound. It's fine.
Oh,
Ah, roughhousing.
Yeah.
she has very good teeth then.
Taffy kind of relaxes a bit. Hissing is a little. It's not something that I associate a lot with playing.
That's how the urchin children in Idfu establish dominance over territory.
Oh my god.
They hiss at one another?
No, roughhouse. Hissing
Oh,
can be
roughhouse.
involved.
Okay.
Both.
Just everyone hisses.
I had to beat up a couple of kids in my time. As a kid, not as an adult.
1 second.
I just imagine Yuvari I beat up some kids in my time, just like cuts back to a month ago, just kicking the crap out of some
Just punching a kid over a wall.
punching this kid, yeah. It's like, take that, you little shit.
I mean, yes. No, little kid Yuvari. Establishing dominance among the street urchin children. By
As you do, as you have to do.
wrestling them and stealing the bread off of their plate and then running away,
As one does.
as one does.
So
No.
do we wait here for Nishalis to just be done? How long does roughhousing take?
Until someone goes down.
Oh,
Ashai will kind of speak up and say, she'll probably be back in a few minutes.
Taffy kind of nervously looks around. He's now paranoid of just becoming a spider. It's like, anyone else want to cast polymorph on me?
Poor Taffy.
Beat him up.
And then at that moment, kind of Ashai turns her attention to Resh as she says, "So you are leaving?" And you all might kind of see Resh shift his posture slightly as he's just taken his. It looks like he wants to take his usual stance, but his hands are at his sides. An oddly relaxed position for him as he responds to her. Yes, fortunately we were merely passing through Mithron Bay. Oh. And you kind of see she averts her gaze off to the side. I was worried when we had heard the news from Felicera, and I was rather glad to see you're okay. You see, Resh, straightens up his shoulders as he takes, the slow breath. And, before he can say anything, the doors that Nershellis and the drow child had run through swing open again as she comes running back into the room, looking rather proud of herself. She says,
Atta girl.
"Mom, I bit that half-drow a whole lot."
I look over at Taffy and point, and we know who won.
dang. Glad I didn't make a bet on that. I would have lost.
And then I'm sure, Narcellis, you kind of come wandering in after a moment.
And he lumbers in. You guys see a couple bruises. There's some bite marks. He looks unhappy.
Oh.
She, like, the kid herself looks like she has, like, a bite mark or two on her arms, but otherwise seems completely fine. And Ashai will just reach down and kind of gently, like, pat her head as she looks back over to Narcellis with this sort of, like, sympathetic look on her face. She says, are you okay?
And he just scoffs and like waves his hand at her like, it's fine. I've had far worse. I have 2 sisters her age.
Oh, right. And she'll look back up to Resh. Then will you be back sometime again? And Narshella, since you're not standing behind Resh, you can see the look on his face is odd. You're not used to him showing a lot of his emotions, but he has kind of this mixed expression of both something like nervousness and guilt. As he says to Ashai, I don't know when I'll be back. There's a lot going on following the events from Philisera. I see. Well, I hope to see you again someday.
Oh.
And Narcellis will kind of stand there for a minute and just watch the two. And after a minute, he's gonna go, Resh, actually, do you have a minute?
He kind of looks at you and says, suppose.
Come here a minute. Ashai, these are our traveling companions. You should... They're normal.
They're normal.
Sort of...
We're normal?
For a moment.
Taffy has kind of like squatted down to like eye level with the child drow. He's got his little his little kitty face on. He's just staring right now. He's not, he's gonna wait for her to come to him.
Resh kind of wanders over to Narcellis as Ashai looks over the rest of the party. And Taffy, as you've kind of lowered yourself down to this child's height, she looks over at you, and, like, she's still quite a few feet away, but she kind of leans over and, like, narrows her eyes, like she's looking at you kind of suspiciously. And she says, is that his pet tabaxi?
Oh.
Oh my god!
Yeah, don't worry.
We can turn him to a spider if you'd like.
Oh, I can't do that yet, like Ilharest, but I'm gonna one day. I'll get to turn everyone into spiders.
Oh boy.
And I believe you.
I believe you. And Taffy just waves and he's like, I'm a real good pet. Don't worry, I'm very tame. I don't bite. I'm very well behaved.
You don't bite? What kind of pet are you?
Oh.
I love her.
He just kind of doesn't know how to respond to that.
Ashai will like gently just pat her daughter as she says to Taffy, "My apologies. Vashrina is still learning a lot."
No, that was my fault. I walked right into that.
So, where is it then you all are going to?
Taffy looks to the rest of the party because he does not want to answer that question.
It's complicated.
I see.
It may behoove others involved if if someone starts asking questions. The less you know, the better it might be.
Oh. Okay.
Resh might be able to tell you though.
She kind of just leaves it at that as she kind of glances over towards where Resh had walked off far to the side with Nershellis kind of out of everyone's earshot. But she doesn't really speak up anything else for the moment.
I'll sort of step forward and I guess a little closer to her and say kind of quietly, like, are you all right? I'm the thing earlier with the snake whip. I'm a healer if you need any help or.
Ashai at first looks confused as you ask if she's okay. And as you mention the whip her mother had raised at her, she just shakes her head as she kind of like holds her arms close to her chest and she says, "Oh no, I'm fine. That's just Ilharis. It's not a problem."
You're sure? You're not hurt? I mean, I wouldn't mind if.
No, they didn't bite me this time.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry?
No, I just said I don't know if Tove knows how to respond to that.
And Ashai will continue with my mother and I just don't really see eye to eye. She thinks me some curse from Lolth.
Oh, well, you don't seem like a curse to me, so.
I'm just. And she kind of at this moment sits back down on the couch, the sofa that she'd been at before, and her young daughter, Vashrina, kind of goes and wanders off to go find something to do. And Ashai will say, "It's more I am rather physically incapable of doing many sorts of things a proper daughter and priestess of Lolth ought to do."
And Tove will sort of cock her head to the side as she listens, nod, and say, "Well, I'm sure what you may, for lack of a better word, lack in some areas, you make up in others. I mean, you seem to be quite smart and a good mother."
She smiles very briefly at you. She says, thanks. But she just seems a little awkward or embarrassed now at this point. Is there anyone else who wanted to ask her anything?
No, Taffy is. Yeah, she's the.
Yeah. Then Narshalis.
Yes.
Hi. Is there anything Narshalis wanted to talk to Resh about? It's getting very
Yeah. What'd you say?
I said even though it's getting very late.
I know, and he just wanted to have a small talk.
Mhm.
And he will kind of drag Resh over to the side, and really just looking at the two with the rest of the group over there. He'll look up at him and he'll say, "This makes me very upset." He will say, "You should stay here."
Oh.
And Resh
Oh.
looks rather confused at that. As he looks down at you, Narshalis. And he'll just say, you had asked for me to come with you.
And I want you to, more than anything, but I can tell how. I saw the look you had on your face when she was talking to you. And do you want to stay here?
Damn.
Like, looking up at him, like, you can tell, like, this physically hurts Narshella.
Like, Resh is looking back down at you with this very just conflicted look on his face. Like, he's very unsure of how he wants to respond to that. And he'll kind of voice his thoughts aloud as he says, well, of course, there's always a part of me that wants to stay here, yet there's part of me that wants to stay with you and go with you to make sure that you stay safe. But I know I would never be able to ask her to leave, not with her position in this house.
And he just kind of lowers his head a little, and his eyes are on the floor, and he says, If you want to stay, I won't hold it against you. I understand. You have people here too that need you. It's not just me.
Oh God!
Oh.
Only I'm allowed to make you guys upset like this.
Oh. How the turns.
Not allowed to be the other way
It's not
around.
allowed to be
DM got DM.
What's Resh gonna do? What's he gonna do?
What's he gonna do?
Resh is just silent, as he seems to kind of be weighing his options. And he'll quietly say to Nershellis, perhaps if like he sighs, kind of frustrated with his choosing of words as he tries to like start again. Well, I would like stay. I don't know. I don't know. No, shall I say?
And oh god, his expression is very. Hold on, I need to look up a synonym. Crestfallen. In that he shakes his head and says, "No, you should want to stay with them. It's fine. It's fine. Just it's all right." And he kind of just turns back toward everybody, and like you can tell, like his brows are like pinched together, and his mouth is very thin. He's trying not to be a selfish person, but he's hurt.
And as you turn away from Resh, he'll kind of quickly like reach for your arm, not quite like grabbing onto you, but wanting you to stop. As he'll just quietly say, give me some time to think this over. Please.
If any part of you wants to stay with your children, you probably should. I don't want to be the person that separates you from them. And he'll just sort of look at the hand that like nearly touched him, and then up at Resh. And like, especially given their previous conversation, he's a little blank. And he just says, I'm gonna go make sure everything's alright.
Resh just quietly nods as his hand like falls back to his side.
And Nershellis will kind of take a semi-deep breath and just go and stand very quietly with the rest of the group.